What do they know? We're here at March for Life in London, and we'll be playing the pro-life quiz show, What Do They Know? We've asked 100 members of the public pro-life multiple choice questions to test their knowledge, and I'm excited to see how knowledgeable the British public really are. I've got 4 wonderful teams here who my co-host Christian Otley, and we'll find out what the British public know. My name's Mads, and as I said, Christian is my co-host for today, and we'll just explain a little bit about how the game is going to work. As I mentioned, we've asked 100 members of the public pro-life multiple choice questions, and they've given us what they think the answers are. In this game, the contestants need to tell us what they think the British public have chosen, not what the correct answer actually is. The more people that chose the answer, the more points they get. Along the way, I'll be chatting with different contestants so that we can get to know them. But first, Christian, let's introduce the teams.
Brilliant. So we've got 4 amazing teams joining us this morning. From left to right, we have the pro-life mums, Gayla and Emanuela on the left-hand side here. Next, thank you very much. Brilliant. Now, I hope there'll be no favoritism as I next introduce the pro-life dads. We've got Sam and Stephen.
Woo!
Next up, you may have guessed what the next category of person is. We have pro-life pastors. So this is Regan and Father Simon representing religious denominations today. And finally, last but not least, representing educational establishments and the next generation, we have the pro-life students, Anna and Paul.
Amazing. Welcome, teams. It's great to have you with us. Christian, could you tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing today?
So it's my role today to keep track of the scores, to analyze some of the answers that the general public gave, and most importantly, to educate on the actual reality of what is going on with abortion in the United Kingdom. It's worth staying right at the start that whilst we want to make this game show as entertaining and light-hearted as possible, there is no hiding the fact that the actual subject matter we're dealing with today is incredibly horrendous. We're talking about the genocidal killing of hundreds of thousands of human beings and the carnage that that is causing on women's lives and society in general. So whilst we want to show support to everyone who's competing today, we also need to bear in mind of the horrendous reality that is going on behind, that we're actually trying to use this game show to draw attention to.
Great, thank you. That does sound tricky. I think my job is a little bit easier than that. So there'll be 4 rounds. There'll be 4 questions in the first round, 3 questions, then 2 questions, then 1 final question. And the points reset every round. So you've got everything to play for. Even if you don't do so well in a previous round, you can make it back. And you can't choose a question or an answer that someone's already chosen. So we'll rotate through, and each team will get a chance to go first because we can't repeat answers. Everyone clear? Everyone happy? All right, so how
I think we're ready for one more. Guys, what are we playing today?
Nice. Let's find out how clued up the British public really are in What Do They Know? Okay. So, round 1, question 1. We're going to start with pro-life mums. The question is, so we asked 100 members of the British public, what was the leading cause of death worldwide last year? The options are hunger, suicide, malaria, COVID is number 4, cancer, dementia, abortion, and finally number 8 is heart disease. So pro-life mums, what are you thinking?
I reckon it'd be COVID, just because everyone's like talking about COVID. I don't know. What do you
What are you thinking? Are you ready to lock in your answer? Which number are you going to go for?
We're going to go for number 4.
Number 4, COVID. Very topical, okay. Moving on then, pro-life dads. What are you thinking? What's the debate going on? You stuck between 2?
Okay, we're going to go for dementia.
Dementia, number 6. Lock it in, nice. All right, pro-life pastors.
We're going to go with number 1.
1, hunger, okay. And finally, pro-life students.
We are going. I think we're going to go for cancer.
5, cancer.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn to Christian for the scores.
Well, I can't tot up the scores just yet.
Sorry, the answers.
I'll tot up. I'm not a math genius. We need that woman from Countdown here.
Yeah.
Carol, is it Carol Vorderman? Let's turn her pro-life and get her here next year to do that job. But let me just reflect on the answers briefly. The answers from the general public was 28 out of 100 members of the public said heart disease was the greatest killer last year. That was followed by 24 members of the public who said COVID, and a joint 19 members of the public said that hunger and cancer were the 3rd biggest contributor to death globally last year. Interesting fact. Abortion is, of course, the largest killer of human life worldwide each year. According to the Guttemacher Institute, 72 million unborn babies are intentionally killed by abortion every year. Next up, and a long way behind that, is heart disease at 17.5 million. Cancer, according to the cancer research, kills 9.6 million people per year. Hunger claims 6.1 million people per year. COVID, the latest statistics are 4.54 million people per year. And as for suicide, dementia, and malaria, they are all sub 1 million people. The remarkable thing about all of this is that if you get all the other death tolls of this, they only fill up half of the death toll of human life from abortion every single year. Mads, that's back to you. I promise to have the scores with you by the end of the next round.
No worries. Absolutely shocking there, isn't it? And I think that puts pro-life mums at the moment in first place, though, with 24 points. So before we move on to the second question, I just want to get to know a couple of our contestants. So Reagan, I understand that you preach a lot on abortion in your church. Could you give us some advice maybe that you'd give to other preachers or pastors in this ministry?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we have to get over if you're in a role of ministry is what people will think. Sometimes we let people's expectations cripple us. Open the Bible, look at what it has to say. Take a passage like Psalm 139, where we see that God has seen our unformed substance from before we were even born and has numbered our days. And just preach on life and its beauty, and draw in how in appreciating life as how God created it, we should also be against anything that takes away life in an elective sense. So we should be against abortion. And what I found is when we faithfully looked at it, when we've looked at the statistics, the reasons that are given, and illustrate using what's going on in our society, I've actually had women who have had abortions in the past come to me and thank me for that and share a bit about their story. They've unburdened themselves and have been, through that, able to commence really a next phase of their journey of healing and sharing with people what happened, why it happened, and why now they're pro-life.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, question 2 in What Do They Know? We asked, the one person was on top of it, we asked 100 members of the public, when does human life begin? The options they were given were conception, implantation, when the heart starts to beat, when brain waves are detected. Number 5 is when it's viable. Number 6 is when it's wanted or the mother decides. 7 is birth. And the cop-out at number 8 is no one knows. So we're going to start with pro-life dads. Remember, you're answering not what you think is the correct answer, but what you think the general public chose as the correct answer. So pro-life dads, what are you pondering? Are you stuck between a couple?
I'm inclined to go with when the heart starts to beat, but that might be very generous.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 4,
We're going to go with 3.
3, when the heart starts to beat. Lock it in. Nice. All right. Pro-life pastors, I can see you've started conferring already. So 3 is gone. What are you going to lock in instead?
Number 5.
Number 5, when it's viable. Okay. Pro-life students, what are you thinking?
I'm going to say number 7.
Number 7, birth. Oof, I really hope that's not the case. Yes, good. All right. And finally, pro-life mums. Number 6. I think number 6 hasn't been taken. Can you all hold up your answers again, just keep track? Oh no, you're grand. Yeah, perfect. Number 6. So when it's wanted or when the mother decides. All right, over to you, Christian.
Well, thank you very much, contestants, for your answers. You have surprising amounts of pessimism for the UK public. Actually, 38% of the UK public get the correct answer on this, which is conception is when human life begins. That was by far the largest answer given by members of the public, and they are quite right, because conception is when a distinct, living, and whole human being comes into creation. Its implantation into the uterus of its mother's womb does not change its humanity. At 21 days, we know that the heart starts beating. At 6 weeks, brainwaves are detected. And a baby is viable nowadays in the best neonatal units at 22 weeks, at which point they have a 30% chance of survival. Go 3 weeks beyond that to 26 weeks, they have an 80% chance of survival, with only 1 in 10 children having a lifelong disability. In light of this, it is remarkable that 10% of the public think that human life only begins when the baby's born. I do have the scores if you are interested.
I am very interested.
So currently, pastors are leading the way with 39 points.
Woo!
This is followed 10 points behind by students with 29 points. Mums are following up after that with 26 points. And perhaps a little bit less applause for the dads who are trailing behind with 16 points.
That's all right. We've still got 2 more questions in this round, so I'm sure you can raise it up. I want to get to know some of our pro-life mums, if that's all right, ladies. So, Gayla, I understand that you've got 2 children and you've got another on the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I was just wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about raising pro-life kids.
So we use a lot of pro-life language, as I term it. So they've known about this baby since the beginning, since we have. We always include the baby. We have to say things like, baby's going to sit with mummy while we have dinner. We have the Together We March book. I think we have another one that I can't remember, but we do have that. The girls love reading those ones. They really, whenever we see a baby outside, we make a point to talk about the baby and how cute they look, or that a mum's also got another baby in her tummy. And they're so open to that, you know. We've had a couple of incidents where someone's been a little on the larger side, and very loudly we've had announced they have a baby in their tummy. It's like, maybe? I don't know. So that's been a bit embarrassing, but we always talk about Our Lady at Christmas time, having the baby Jesus in her tummy. It's just all-inclusive. We just never pretend that the baby's not there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, they're very small. The oldest is just 2.5, so it's very basic. But I think we're just going to continue that trend.
Yeah,
So
I love
we've
that.
got a lot of
That's
resources.
great. Well done. Great work.
It's worth stating, if you want some more ideas of how to inspire your kids and educate your kids on pro-life stuff, there's some wonderful pro-life resources downstairs in the Emmanuel Centre. Do check them out before we go on the march at 1 p.m. today.
That was a great plug. Well done. Gayla, I also wanted to ask you as well about some of the pro-life work that you've been involved in.
Okay. I worked with the Good Counsel Network, which do a lot of different aspects with helping women, but one of the things we did was hold vigils outside of abortion clinics, which is very daunting, but it's the last stage. It's the last step you can reach a woman, really. And it's amazing what can happen outside on those steps, but it's also quite hard, I think. You might not want to do it. I certainly didn't. But once you're there, I think you get a lot of graces for doing it. And you get horrible people, but you also get a lot of amazing stories. Like some of the most amazing people, they could never have heard of any of the help we're offering. And as soon as you offer it, that's it. They never consider abortion again. So it's really good, and it's amazing how much, they don't really need a lot of the women help-wise. Sometimes it's just a helping hand, moral support. And that's all it takes, really, just to know that someone cares, someone hears you, someone knows that you're there, and that you're not going to be left alone in some ditch with a baby you can't feed. So it's really good work. And I mean, there's lots of pro-life movement out there. I know Good Counsel the best, but it's very gratifying work, I think. Hard, but so worthwhile.
Amazing, well done. Are we ready for question 3? So we asked 100 members of the British public how many abortions were carried out in England and Wales in 2020. The options they were given, number 1 was 60, 860, 1,860, 10,860. Option 5 is 60,860. Number 6, these are all really testing my ability to say long numbers out loud, 110,860, 150,860, or finally option 8, 210,860 abortions in England and Wales in 2020. Pro-life pastors, we're starting with you.
We're going to go with number 5.
Number 5, 60,860. All right. Pro-life students, what do you think the British public thought about the number of abortions in England and Wales in 2020? Bit of conferring.
We're going to go with number 6.
Number 6, 110,860. All right, pro-life mums, you're up next. What are you going to lock in?
Yeah, I'll do that. No, that's too big.
We're going to go with 4.
Number 4, 10,860. Okay. Finally, pro-life dads, see if you can crawl it back.
150,000 or 1,860. Should we go with 7? So we're going to go with 7.
Number 7, 150,860. All right, Christian, what are the answers?
Well, the correct answer to this question was number 5. 31% of members of the public think that 60,000 or 70,000 unborn babies are killed each year by abortion. This is less, around a quarter of the actual figure. So the latest abortion figures on record from 2020 put the figure at number 8, 210,860 abortions were conducted in the United Kingdom, well, in England and Wales last year. Gone are the days when abortion advocates were pushing for safe, legal, and rare abortions. Last year, abortion figures were the highest on record, and with easily-to-order DIY abortion pills, this figure is only set to rise. If for a nation, and those in this nation who claim they are against abortion, the fact that our abortion figures keep on rising suggests that perhaps we need to adopt new and better strategies to end this unwanted bloodshed in our nation. Mads, I promise to give you an update on the scores at the end of the next round. It's worth stating before we move on, this is a real metallic trophy that will be going to the winners of this tournament. So everything to play for. We can even get your name engraved in it if you pay. So please, dads, everything to play for in this final question of round 1.
Great, thank you, Christian. So let's get to know our pro-life dads. Sam, I understand that you have lots of lovely pro-life children, and I wondered if you could talk to us a bit about how you find bringing up the pro-life issue with either your own children or children in general.
Okay, so our own children, I know pro-life issues, abortion is absolutely shocking, but we don't shy away from that to a certain extent with our own children in telling them the truth about the issues involved. So we're quite direct. They seem generally naturally pro-life anyway, our children, and I'm sure that's the same for most children. They love baby anything, whether it's animals or children or whatever it is, they're ready to nurture them as they grow up. The natural pro-life is in them, and we just nurture that, promote it to them, and use the language that we're, the appropriate language. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. I agree. I think you almost have to teach people to support abortion. And exactly what you're saying, actually, young children are naturally pro-life, which is amazing. Thank you. Stephen, I understand you had nothing short of a miracle happen with you and your children and your wife. I was just wondering if you could share a bit about your story with us.
Okay. Well, we have 3 boys, all of them cesarean, and they do say that after the second cesarean, it becomes very complicated. They try to advise you not to go through with the pregnancy. But obviously we carried on, and with our 3rd one, they said that my wife started to leak, and when we went to hospital, they said that the sac had a hole in it, and that was obviously very dangerous because the baby needed the fluids in the sac to be able to live. If the sac was leaking, it meant there was a chance that the baby could get an infection. We could lose the baby, but then also if the baby got an infection and died, we could lose the mother. So they tried to give us a choice of, save the mother, terminate the baby. And I said, well, is there no way that this hole can be fixed? To maybe sort of like an operation or something you could do to just patch up the hole. They said, no, there's nothing we can do. It's just one of those procedures we cannot do. I said, so you're saying that it would take a miracle for this hole to repair itself? And they said, yes, it would. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks later when we went back to do follow-up tests. They were checking and they said, oh, well, the leaking seems to have stopped. I said, well, what do you mean? Is that there's no hole? It's like, no, there's no hole anymore. The sac is fine, there's plenty of fluid. So I was saying, but when I asked you before, wouldn't it take a miracle for something like this to happen? You said yes. I said, so are you actually telling me that a miracle's just happened? And he looked at me dumbfounded, and he sort of paused for a while, and he had to say, yes, it's a miracle.
Amazing. That's amazing, beautiful story. God is good. Thank you. Okay, so last question in this round, I believe, is, according to research carried out by the British Heart Foundation in 2016, at what stage does a fetus or baby's heart start to beat? I've got 16 days, 34 days, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Number 6 is 24 weeks, 32 weeks, and the final option is birth. So remember, this is what the British public think, rather than what the correct answer is that we're looking for. Pro-life students, you get to choose first for this round, this question. What are you thinking?
Sorry, can we ask when the British public were asked this question?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago?
Before the text, yeah.
You can tell she's a real graduate, you know, with that kind of question. Really getting behind the question there.
Do you do philosophy by any chance?
Yes.
It's okay, I did as well.
We were just thinking because of the Texas.
Yeah, of course. No, it's good.
We're going to go for 4.
Number 4, 12 weeks. Okay. Pro-life mums.
We're going to go for number 3.
Number 3, 6 weeks. Pro-life dads.
We're going to go for number 6.
Yeah. Think you can crawl it back from 4th place with number 6, 24 weeks. And finally, pro-life pastors.
We're going to go
Number
with 5.
16 weeks. Christian,
So can we get a clarification
Of course.
from the students? What did the students choose?
they chose 12 weeks.
Number 4. Okay, brilliant. Okay, well, what we'll do is I'll give you the actual answers. Then
Yeah.
you can do some small talk with our guests whilst I work out the
Sounds
scores
good.
from round 1. According to British members of the public, they thought that the heart starts beating at 12 weeks. So 32% of members of the public thought it starts beating at 12 weeks. Yet, according to the latest research from the British Heart Foundation, the heart actually starts beating at 16 days. That's 5 days before the previously accepted figure of 21 days or 3 weeks. And yet, it is this very heartbeat that the first abortion pill, mifepristone, is designed to stop in every so-called safe abortion procedure. And how fascinating it is that most of the British public, through being told either wrong or being withheld information, think that the heart beats a further 9 weeks past the actual point where it starts. In actual fact, by 6 to 7 weeks, the very moment that most of these medical abortions are taking place, the human heart in the baby has beat hundreds of thousands of times. Let's pray for more heartbeat builds this side of the Atlantic as well, I say.
Let's get to know some more of our contestants. So, Father Simon, I understand you have a particular heart for people with Down syndrome. Would you be able to talk to us a bit more about that?
I do. I won't reveal when, just so I don't tell you how old my little sister is, then end up telling you just how old I am. But when my mum was expecting my little sister, the doctors performed an amniocentesis against her will, without even telling her, without informing her of the dangers. And they told her that my sister had Down syndrome. I'm really blessed to be part of a long-standing pro-life family, big families, as you can imagine. And my mum was put under severe pressure to abort my little sister. And that was intense and continuous. She had my sister, and my sister wasn't blessed with Down syndrome. My sister wasn't blessed with Down syndrome, and I'm an uncle to 2 wonderful, one of them's a stroppy teenager. I'm an uncle to 2 wonderful, but she wasn't blessed with a child having Down syndrome, and so she decided that then not being able to have any more children, that she'd try and adopt. So we went through various processes. My mum wanted to adopt as many children as she possibly could, blessed with that extra chromosome. But as Gail said earlier, you know, when her children look and see that people are a bit bigger, they think they've got a baby in their tummy. Well, my family were no stranger to Mr. Kipling. And she was told she was too fat to adopt. So I'm not blessed with lots of brothers and sisters who are blessed with Down syndrome. Since then, certainly in parish life, we've always tried to support and work with people who are blessed with that extra chromosome, who absolutely rock that extra chromosome. We have a wonderful network called the T21 Network, and we celebrate World Down Syndrome Day. And in fact, one of my former parishioners is here with me. We call her the jewel in the crown that is our parish. Perfect, beautiful, sinless. And the last thing I did before I moved parish was to give her her first Holy Communion on Sunday. She's been at every March for Life since she was born. As we've marched before, hashtag irreplaceable, absolutely irreplaceable.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Father Simon. Beautiful. And let's get to know one of our pro-life students. So I think you might have a plug for us, Paul. How did you first get involved or decide to be actively pro-life?
Yeah, so I grew up in a family where being pro-life was sort of accepted. That was the culture of the place. We believe that all life is precious and made in the image of God. But I wasn't personally involved myself for quite a while. It was through a family member who invited me to come to March for Life that I really started to engage practically with the issue of abortion. It was through coming to March for Life in 2018 that I saw kind of the statistics of what's happening, the scale of this issue. And I also saw and heard and met people who through their direct actions had saved lives who were in that room. So I saw that the pro-life movement is one which is able to unite to actually make practical change for this issue. And particularly March for Life is a place where pro-lifers from all over can unite. So that's how I started to get involved.
Awesome, thank you. You ready for those scores?
Yes, so at the end of round one, the scores are in. They have been counted not by Carol Vorderman, but by me. So forgive me if there are inaccuracies in this, but the scores on the doors at the end of round one. In last place, we have the fathers who got 35 points. In third place, we have the mums on 76 points. In second place, we have the students with 82 points. And in first place, potentially seeking spiritual guidance from on high, we have the pastors with 92 points. This means that the fathers, sadly, are going to have to take a short, disgraced walk off our stage at the end of round one. I'm sure they got broad shoulders, they can take it. But big round of applause to our fathers as we move through into round two. Well done, Sam. Well done, take care. Right, Mads, I'm going to hand back to you in a moment, but keeping an eye on the time, I think we're going to have to go up a few gears for round 2 and 3. What can we expect in these next 2 and final rounds?
So we're moving down to just 3 questions per round for the 3 questions for this round. So let's dive straight in to the first question. We're going to start with pro-life mums. We asked 100 members of the British public what percentage of babies or fetuses were diagnosed with Down syndrome in England and Wales that were aborted. So 1 is none, that's illegal, I wish. 2 is 10%, 3 is 20%, 4 is 30%, 45%, 60%, 75% or 90% of people diagnosed with Down syndrome in England and Wales are aborted. Remember, we want the answer that you think the British public gave, not what you think is the correct answer. Are you ready to lock it in?
We're going to go for number 4.
Number 4, 30%. All right, pro-life pastors, what are you thinking?
3.
Number 3, 20%. And finally, pro-life students?
We're going to go for 5.
5, 45% of people diagnosed in England and Wales with Down syndrome are aborted. Over to you, Christian.
Well, the correct answer to that question is number 8. 90% of babies in the UK are aborted with Down syndrome. However, according to the public think it's only 30% of the public. So mums, using your motherly protective instincts, you actually got that question right. Well done to you. It's 30% of the public. But how ironic and sad it is that at this very moment when we're celebrating the Paralympic Games in Japan, that we're simultaneously targeting and killing unborn babies in the womb just because they have Down syndrome. And this is, like many aspects of British law, needs to be changed. Do be praying for Heidi Carter and others who are making this case on discrimination grounds as we speak. But let's, like Father Simon, be creating a culture where children with Down syndrome are seen as a double blessing for parents, as we know that they really are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christian.
This also means that at the end of question 1, the mothers are in the lead with 27 points. The pastors are at the back for once. They've clearly stopped praying with 15 points. And finally, the students are in the middle with 18 points.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christian. Let's dive straight into question 2. It is a wordy one, so listen carefully. Last year, because of COVID, it was ruled that abortion pills could be sent out through the post and women could self-manage their own abortions without needing a scan or a face-to-face appointment. How many at-home abortions do you think happened in 2020? We've got 79, 379, 1,079, 16,079, 29,079. Number 6 is 37,079, 50,079, or finally, number 8, 72,079 at-home abortions in 2020. Remember, we're looking for the answer that the British public think is the correct answer, not what our contestants know to be the real answer. Pro-life pastors, you're up first.
3.
3, 1,079. All right. So pro-life students, are you ready to lock in?
We're going to go for 4.
4, 16,079, and then finally pro-life mums.
Could try for 2.
You can't have 3, you can't have 4, but you can
Go for
have
number
2.
2.
379 at-home abortions in 2020. Christian, over to you. What's the right answer?
Well, of the answers given by members of the public surmised that it was 16,000, so question 4. The correct answer is number 8. 72,079 DIY at-home abortions were conducted at home without any face-to-face contact with a physician or nurse practitioner last year or ultrasound scan. If you date that figure back from when the home use of these pills was first legislated, the figure is much, much higher. And yet, of all the COVID regulations that we've endured in the last year, this is by far the worst. With 1 in 20 of these women being hospitalized as a result of taking these pills at home, many utterly alone, many under extreme coercion from their partners. These are immoral measures passed by an immoral man that must be reversed as soon as possible. I'm just going to toss up the scores whilst you chat to our participants.
Perfect. So, Emanuela, I'm going to dive in with a question with you. If you could just tell us a little bit about your pro-life involvement.
So I'm just started being a part of the team of Rachel's Vineyard, and Rachel's Vineyard is for people with no faiths, with faiths or no faith, and it's for people who've been affected by abortion. So mums, dads, grandparents, siblings. People who have worked in the abortion industry, and it's a safe place to grieve. And I've actually seen the miracle of hearts being healed and lives restored. You know, in the first letter of St. John says, "We've seen and we touched with our hands, we saw it, and I can testify that I've seen amazing grace happening." So it's an amazing work, and I thank Rachel, who is the national coordinator, that asked me to help, because I will be eternally grateful to her for allowing me to be part of this amazing work.
Great work, thank you.
I was just wondering, is Rachel in the room? Is Rachel Mackenzie in the room? She's next
She's
door.
working hard on the stalls.
Well, we'll all go simultaneously ask for her autograph after this, and then everyone will know who she is. But yeah, amazing lady and amazing work that Rachel Vinyard does. The scores on the doors. The pastors, well, actually, the mums, sadly, are in last place. You've got 31 points in round 2. This is followed by the pastors at 33 points. And coming in the inside lane with the students, is they are leading with 53 points.
All right. We've got one more question in this round. We've got one more question in this round, so it's all to play for to see if you guys can raise the scores. So this final question in this round is how many abortions occurred in 2020 because of the fetus or baby was part of multiple pregnancies? So for example, they were twins or triplets. So the first question is none. First option is none, that's illegal. 5, 15 abortions, 25. Option 5 is 35 abortions, 45, 55, or finally 65. And we're starting with the pro-life students. How many abortions occurred in 2020 because of multiple children in the pregnancy?
We're going to go for 4.
4, 25. Okay, pro-life mums?
5, probably 5. Okay. I'm going to go for 5.
5, 35, and then pro-life pastors.
What do you think? Which one do you want to go for?
Should we go for 3? 6 or 3?
We'll go for 3.
3, 15. All right.
Well, the correct answer to that question from UK official statistics is 65. So yes, 65 babies were killed in what is euphemistically termed fetal reduction procedures. Often this is conducted as part of an IVF purchase. Interestingly, that 17 people, so 17%, thought that this was legal, and yet, sadly, it is not. How many people are here today who are missing their twin brother or sister, destroyed in the womb, either because they were inferior or because they did not match their parental numeric preference? This is an indictment on us all and something that needs to be addressed urgently as part of the IVF industry that is commodifying and destroying human lives at a huge rate. The scores on the doors, I'm literally a few seconds away from calculating
That's all right.
it.
While you do that,
I can actually give it to you now.
this is the end of this round.
Yes, so 5, 8, here we
Quick
go.
mental maths. While you do that, why don't we ask Anna, I understand you're a university student and you've learnt hopefully quite a lot about engaging with people on these issues. How do you find and what have you learnt about engaging on campus with the pro-life message?
Well, it's shocking how many, sorry.
Can we put the pro-life student's mic on, please?
Not working.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of my fellow students just assume these kind of stereotypes about what it is to be pro-life, and a lot of it is informed by the discourse that's happening in America, and they kind of have this idea that, you're an old man who wants to impose his will upon, women. So I think the most important thing I find in engaging with my fellow students is just, first and foremost, being like a nice, friendly person who calls herself a feminist and doesn't fit into any of these stereotypes that they have. So you need to first convince people that you're like a nice, good person, and that most easily happens if you can have one-on-one interactions with people, which is where I find the most fruitful conversations happen. You just have to be a friendly face, and then they're willing to take what you say seriously.
Awesome. Well, great work on the uni campuses. Well done. So, at the end of round 2 of What Do They Know? What are the scores, Christian?
So at the end of round 2, at What Do They Know? We have the students in the lead with 67 points.
Ooh.
This is followed by the pastors with 48 points. And sadly, the attack on the family continues even within of our conference because the mums are having to part from the stage with 39 points at the end of round 2. Please give them a second massive round of applause. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Gayla and Emanuela. It's lovely to have you with us. All right, it's all to play for now. The scores have been reset. So, first question of the final round. We asked 100 members of the British public, 1 in every how many pregnancies ends in abortion? I.e. like 1 in 4, 1 in every 100 pregnancies ends in abortion. So number 1 is 1 in 4, in 10, in 16, in 24, in 38, in 52, in 74, or in 100. Remember, it's not what you think, it's what the British public have chosen. So we're starting with the pastors. What are you going to lock in? 8. 1 in 100. So the British public have said 1 in 100 pregnancies end in abortion. Okay, pro-life students.
We're going to go for 3.
3. 1 in 16. Christian, what is the answer here?
Well, the answer, according to members of the public, was that it's 1 in 100 pregnancies end in abortion. So 27% of the British public said that. It's worth noting that, well, the pastors, you said, what number did you choose?
Number 8, yeah.
8. So you got it correct. So 27 members of the public chose that. Unfortunately, the students, only 8% of the public got the correct answer, which is 1 in 4 pregnancies actually do end in abortion. This is incredible to think that those interviewed on the streets are clearly not talking about abortion. Because if they only think 1 in 100 of their friends and relatives have had an abortion, when in reality it's 1 in 4, it just goes to show how stigmatized this topic really is, and just how important it is that we speak openly and honestly with truth and also grace about the issue of abortion in the United Kingdom. Which means, going into the final question of what do you think, there is a point gap of 23 points between the pastors and the students. It's all to play for in this wonderful educational game show of What Do They Know? Michael, can you do it for us one more time? Okay, very good. Go on. That was a bit harsh. I think we should help Michael out on that final one. I think, Michael, you should lead all of us in a What Do You Know, followed by a heartwarming applause with plenty of whoops thrown in by everyone here today. Michael, take it away. What do they know?
I can confirm it is possible to close that points gap with this next question, so it really is all to play for. The question is, the final question in What Do They Know? We asked 100 members of the British public, what does the word fetus mean if literally translated from the original Latin? The options are unformed, young lamb, from the, doll, cookie, offspring, alien, or number 8 is in darkness. What does the word fetus mean if literally translated from the original Latin? And we're looking for what the British public think in What Do They Know? Pro-life students, I'm starting with you.
Go for 3.
Can you close that point gap?
Or 1. It could be 1. Yeah, maybe. 1, I think. Yeah.
You ready?
We're going to go for 1.
Number 1, unformed. All right, pro-life pastors, over to you. Number 3, from the. All right. Christian, are you able to let us know the correct answer?
I can let you know the correct answer. The correct answer, according to members of the public was number 1, which was unformed. So the students may just have closed the gap there, but I haven't done the maths yet. The correct answer, according to linguistics, is number 6, that fetus means little one. 33% of the public clearly have a Latin education because they guessed that correctly. The use of fetus to describe an unborn child is one of many strategies used to dehumanize the preborn child as to make them easier to destroy. So when people use the word fetus in conversations with them, why don't you translate it for them as it means offspring or little one? You can even go further and start using Latin words for other areas of the person's life that you're talking to show them how silly it is to hide behind Latin in order to justify the genocidal killing of human beings. You can call them adult, adultus, or you can call the dog that they may be walking a canis, and if they really want to know, you can say that you weren't at a march today, but you were at an itis, if they are interested.
I love that. That's brilliant. Thank you. All right, so while Christian is totting up those final scores, Reagan, I just have a question for you, and I wondered if you could talk to us a little bit more about being a pro-life man and how you navigate that stereotype, maybe.
Well, very much like Anna said, if you have a friendly face and if you are willing to dialogue with people in a rational way, sometimes that immediately lowers the aggression levels. Also, if you show that you're not just about campaigning, you're also about compassion, that goes a long way as well. So if you can back up that you are able to and have provided or helping others provide practical help to those parents who are in crisis, then that actually causes people to think, okay, well, you're not just, as I've heard the accusation, I'm sure you've heard it, pro-birth. You are actually pro-life. You want these people to have meaningful, purposeful lives. You actually are trying to put your money where your mouth is and show care. That goes a long way to helping in being a pro-life man.
Are we ready? Do we need a drum roll? Do we need a drum roll?
Yeah, I do think we need a drum roll. Let's get your fingers out. Let's start tapping on the wood in front of you. Tapping on the wood in front of you. So the final scores of this What Do They Know quiz show, and this may well be a prophetic message for all of us. In second place, we have the students with 40 points. And in first place, with just 1 point ahead of them, we have the pastors of the Free Church and the Catholic Church representing today with 41 points. Woo! Read into our results what you want today. Perhaps we need to support the mums and dads better, or pray for the students as the church as being the answer to ending abortion in our nation. All I know, it's been a pleasure to be with you this morning. My name's Christian. This is Mads, and please do enjoy the rest of the day. The march is kicking off in an hour's time. The Festival for Life continues next door. But to finish, let's do it one more time. Michael, take it away from us.
What do they